Okay, hi, I am Dilsheen. I belong to Delhi. I've been born and brought up here. Um, I went to college at Delhi University, St. Stephen's College. I completed my graduation and post graduation from there. But there was always this sort of uh, a tinkering feeling that I had since school time. There was a slum right across my school, and always passing through bus through that area, it always felt like what could I do for them, or what was my education ending up to. I could end up in fancy colleges and do good for myself, but was it leading me somewhere to do good for them? And that's how I ended up joining the fellowship uh, to give back to that slum.
I'm Gur Meher. I'm from Delhi. I've been a graduate in commerce. Post my graduation, I joined Ernst& Young as my career. However, something was always missing inside me. I feel that I wasn't really passionate about what I was doing, and I did not see my purpose in what I was doing. I got to know about the fellowship, just saw it as a teaching opportunity initially, and having passion for teaching, I just enrolled myself in the fellowship and just wanted to bring about a change in the society. And once I entered the fellowship, I definitely knew that this is my place and there's no going back from here. So that's how fellowship came across me. Yeah.
In the first few months were quite uh, s- were a struggle in terms of getting sorted in the head of what we wanted out of the classroom and what the kids wanted out of us. So that was that mental struggle sort of period.
Before joining fellowship, as I said, I always had passion for teaching. So for me, teaching always evolved around the content that we teach. And I feel that the fellowship made me realize that it's not only the books that the child needs to know. He or she also needs to know about the values, the skills, and the system should be such holistic in nature that it should lead to the cognitive as well as the physical development of a child. The child should be empowered by the education. The education should be equitable to all. That what I would say that how my understanding of excellent education has evolved through my fellowship. The realization that the holistic education is the excellent education which each child deserves would be the starting point of the process. And further moving on to very strategically planning, like where do you see your children after the end of your fellowship, or maybe once they are out of the ecosystem. When we entered the fellowship with the same batch of students, we realized that there was a lot of apathy within the students, and the students weren't very culture driven. They were just coming to schools because they were sent to schools just to study. So I think that was something that we wanted to change in our classroom. We tried to intervene through these learning circles, and these learning circles evolved from who am I as a person, our strengths and weaknesses, our AODs, and moved on to what is my ecosystem of support, just to build the sense of community in the classroom itself. Second one would be the summer camp that we just talked about. So the summer camp revolved around the holistic development of the child, focusing on the access and exposure over here. So we roped in different stakeholders, different organizations like the Transform Schools, Aloha Mora, Swecha, just to give them the excellence was that in classroom we as just content teachers weren't able to do.
I think second year it was mostly focused around what the need of the classroom was at that point. We collaborated with students, co-created themes which they thought were important at that point, and like towards the end, I think in November, they were actually planning LCs for themselves. One particular intervention through a volunteer, Ridhma, she said that of course we really need to work on spoken English for the students. So they get a newspaper every day. Let's just ask them to analyze the speaking tree article and discuss it in class. Initially, I just like took it up. Okay, it will take just 15 minutes of my classroom time. We'll just go ahead with it. What we did not know and did not anticipate was that kids started planning. They had a structured lesson plan for those 15 minutes when they came and spoke about the article. They built so many values through that. They were able to relate everyday experiences. Okay, well, this happened, and Didi, this is what we read, and it exactly happened today. So I think that sort of engagement started happening.
We also introduced a rubric in our classroom for this teaching, which again built down the skills of analyzing of a child. So the child could herself go and evaluate, okay, here I stand and I need to move forward from here, and what will make me improve. So it had proper description of each strand that it holds. So I think that played a major role in it.
Initially, this was, I think, the first 2 weeks of the fellowship, and one of the students, we called out Bhavna's name, and another student turned around and she said, well, is Bhavna in our classroom? Yeah. And we were, I think both of us were in class at that point, and we were just struck, well, this is not happening, this is not going to continue.
The culture that we established in the classroom, it had a lot of structures. Like there's somebody to maintain the student portfolio, somebody to maintain attendance trackers, and there were different homework trackers in the classroom. I think the ownership that the kids showed, giving a structure is something, but then owning those structures is another thing. So I think the ownership that came from the students, I feel that also just sparked, okay, things are changing now.
So we introduced a logic model in the first year to the classroom. They were like somewhat sort of comfortable with it by the end of the year, but did not know how to put it to good use. But by year 2, they were able to come up with group goals, group outcomes they wanted to achieve, and what input steps they would take towards it. So I think that was very heartening side that they took, and they really went back and reflected, okay, this is something we planned, but we haven't been working on it. It's been 2 weeks. We really have to charge up ourselves. So I think that was, again, a huge transition.
I think that the vision was very contextualized. We tried to find out the root cause of the classroom, that if their children are like this, why are they the way they are? So I think, and again aligning it with our vision of excellence, that if we want to see our kids here, how do we make them come here if they are here right now? So I think again the vision said that we will be strong team players, because we saw a lot of apathy in the classroom and we wanted to bring collaboration, so we made them as team players. Further, we said that by bringing out academic excellence, again the word academic played a strong role here, because it was a content heavy classroom, that is 9th grade where we started from. So I think that's how the vision evolved. And coming to second year, again we tried to move on from a big narrative to a small narrative. When we said team players in the first year, we came down to like more of independence and individuality as the theme of a classroom.
Has shifted to that you cannot be a leader unless you take everyone along with you. Your position doesn't have to be near the blackboard, and only then you can be a leader in the classroom. You have to be in there, in the circle, within them, sitting with them.
There are certain skills that I was a little, I would say I did not possess in the beginning of the fellowship. When I was able to just take up opportunities in the city, and when I was able to transfer them to my classroom, I think that was a point where I realized, oh yeah, now I can do it, now I'm a leader. So I think leader is again not somebody who's perfect. I think the agile to learn is something that is very important, that a leader must possess.
Some of the experiences that we've had through these 2 years that helped us evolve as leaders, or so to say, reach where we've reached today. The first instance we clearly remember was when our program manager walked into the classroom, and that was our first observation day after like he became our program manager. So I think that was when he said that, well, you're okay, well, you're teaching well, but the classroom is all over the place. The culture is completely broken down. We had a collab meeting post that, the 3 of us, 2 of us and one of our 18er, and we just sat down and thought of what we could do. The exams were approaching that point, so there was hardly a lot that we could have done for like quick fixes that could have been done at that point, but we really sat through planning for culture post the exams. So I think, but that was initiated at a point where the observation was done. So yeah, that was one turning point really. Yes.
I think the second one would be the various structures that our program manager Akshay was able to put in us as fellows. For example, the logic model. That was something that we learned from him during NLC, and we could give our kids
Yeah.
the knowledge of the same. So I think the second one would be the knowledge, the logic model that he introduced us with.
They've had hard days with a particular teacher, government school teacher, where she would beat most of the class up. But recently there was a time when they just stood up for themselves and they said, "Ma'am, this is enough. We just cannot go on. We haven't really learnt a lot in the content that you've taught, and we've been facing physical abuse, so to say." And I think post that day, we just sat the next day to debrief the experience with them, of whether we should report it to the principal or what should be the next steps. But I think they really were mature enough to understand that, okay, well, let's just first work with the teacher rather than reporting it to the principal. Let's see what changes we can bring together. And I think that's again them being able to come up with ways of solving problems rather than just saying that, okay, well, we have a problem.
My experience of fellowship says what I'm going to say now. So throughout my fellowship, I've been able to again avail certain opportunities to uplift myself as a leader, as a teacher, and I feel that to empower kids, it is very, very important to empower educators first. So I think that though I want to impact students, but I feel that I will have to amplify my impact through empowering teachers and educators first. So I definitely see myself in the education sector working to empower teachers, maybe by setting up my own organization towards those teachers to just empower them in building up various skills so that they can transfer those skills, values and mindsets to the students that they teach.
Stemming from our experiences inside the classroom, how we've been able to understand accent exposure as the key lever towards providing the academic excellence. I think I see myself in designing effective curriculum working towards this. A science lesson is not just you can do inside a classroom. There is a lot more that can aid that learning, which helps shift mindsets of students or develop a lot of skills which might not necessarily, they wouldn't carry out a chemical reaction 10 years down the line, but how they learn about the chemical reaction, the how is going to stay with them.
Initially, I used to be a very product oriented person, and if I talk about myself right now, I'm more about process than the product. So I think that there's a major shift in my mindset. The second thing was challenge. That was something I realized during my fellowship. I feel that the challenge is something that really acts as a fuel and keeps on motivating me throughout. So I think the two things would definitely be purpose and challenge, which drive me throughout.
Well, we as adults set up in our own ego bubbles, we forget how change looks like, how we really need to accept what's incoming from other sources. We just forget that because we think our experience is of maximum and there's nothing beyond that. I think that's a very important lesson that kids taught me. The thing around learning, unlearning and relearning stuff and being so welcoming about it rather than being resistant to it. That's very important that I learned from my kids. Yeah.
I think very, very similar to what Dilsheen said. We wanted to create change, but what if the kids did not want it? I think the kids have always been so open to what we wanted to give them without thinking that what were the repercussions of what Didi is doing. I think just being so welcoming and opening up so easily is something that I take from my kids, being adaptive and just being what they are always without having the ego bubble thing that we as adults have. One thing that I learned from Dilsheen would be always being patient and just calm. No matter what the situation is, just holding your patient attitude towards yourself.
One thing that I learned working with Gur Meher has been a very one of it is a very hard skill of organization. Like she coming from a corporate, and I've been like sometimes all over the place. Like that's how it's done. You can do it very easily over an Excel sheet. Like yeah, so I think that's something that I've learned over the course of it. As a person, I think on a very personal level, we've become very close friends through the course of the fellowship. And I think I've learned there's never a problem that you can't sit down with a friend and just talk it through.
The 3 tips that we want to give to a secondary fellow would definitely include plan well, be very strategic while you're planning. I try to include all the components of your definition and vision of holistic education while planning. And I think unit planning is something that works like wonders in secondary grades.
The second would be again stemming from you cannot do everything alone. You really need to collaborate with each other, sometimes through interdisciplinary classroom instruction or co-teaching, but also with a lot of external stakeholders, bringing them inside the class, because that also becomes a tipping point on what career choices students want to make post this. I mean, that's not the be all end all, but at least the subject choices is something they make post grade 10. So I think collaborate with a lot of people in the ecosystem, bring them to the classroom as much as possible, so that kids know have enough role models to look up to. And that works, I think, across all grades, not just secondary, but secondary more so because they're shifting out of the ecosystem. They really need people. They wouldn't want to look at maybe like, I don't know what to say, like a Barack Obama for inspiration, but maybe someone in their community who's been so well, or someone you are friends with, for collaborate with them, bring them to the classroom to know that this is possible. And tip 3 would be do not get scared with the content.
Yeah.
It is a lot, yes. It is slightly unfortunate of the education system, yes. But that should not limit you to create holistic learning spaces inside your classroom.
Yeah! Yeah!